Do you want to be on the lap, kitty? Is that what's happening? There we go. Sure. You can be on the lap for the very beginning of our stream. Why not? Speaking of which, hello. Happy Monday. I'm Environ Boy. This is my channel. And yeah, it's Monday. It's Monday. We're starting a fresh week. First week, starting what's probably going to be a short week. Things are getting busy for me, as they always do. Such is life. And so, whoa, there we go. Okay. Yeah, we're off chasing birds. So, yes, it is Monday, and we are going to do some writing here. We're going to start off this week strong. This week, at some point in time, depending on what plans get finalized, I'm probably going to have to taper off and not finish all that strong with the streams. But we're going strong today anyway. We're going to do our writing stream right here, right now. And then we're going to do some video gaming later. But to start off, here we are writing, and yeah, I don't know that there's anything to do other than just get into it. So let's bring ourselves over here and look at what we were working on. So last time, as we've been doing for quite some time at this point, we are finishing. We're still working on our random encounter tables for our region. This is a valuable exercise. I kind of talk about it pretty much every time, but it's a valuable exercise, and I'll reiterate why. Because doing this, going through the trouble of setting up these random events tables, gives us an idea of what kind of things we're going to find in our region in general. Hold on a second. Hey, Faylair, awesome. Awesome. Sounds like you've been busy then. Hold on a second. I'm going to adjust my camera. I feel like I'm a little off-center here. There we go. That's marginally better. It needs to be perfect, dang it. But yeah, so we've been working on doing our random tables here, and I'm going to make sure we at least finish our underground random tables today, and hopefully start our last set of them for this region. This region is a busy one with all kinds of different things going on. In fact, maybe I'll pull up our map so we can refer to it if need be at any point. Give it a second here. So yeah, so here's our region here, and we can see it's a pretty busy one. It's a pretty busy one that we got going on here. We've got our forests, our mountains, and our plains. Mountains being above and underground. So there's a whole lot to go with on there. So we will work on that. So wow, you got a full Google Doc going on there. I'm not going to pull up Google Docs here just because I'm trying to work on getting stuff done, but I have set up a Discord this time, Faylar. I don't know if you are aware of it, but I've set up a Discord, and there are channels on that Discord for sharing a homebrew so that we can sort of discuss it outside of the stream time, and I think that's a valuable thing, so that way we're not like restricted by time and discussions within the chat and stuff like that. So if you wanted to get on the Discord, you'll have to go through, and I'll have to verify you next chance I get. Just, you know, I make it so it's a verification process so we don't get bots all up in our grill. But if you wanted to share it there, we can go over it, you know, and we can talk about it and chit-chat and share ideas and stuff. But I think it's awesome that you're coming up with all kinds of stuff, and I'd love to take a look at it. I'm trying to be better about being focused when I'm doing my streams, at least to a certain degree. You know, working on actually bringing stuff here, since the vague idea is that eventually this notebook that I'm working on, this OneNote notebook, is something that I will share. It's something that I will share to for other people to use however they please. So I want to make sure I'm making appreciable progress there. You're at the 100 server limit. Jeez, Faylar, you are a busy little bee then. So okay, that's fair. That's fair. If you ever want to clean out and join ours, just let me know. I mean, you can find it. The link is on my channel. So go ahead and do that. But yeah, so I mean, if you want to give me like a cliff notes, we can sort of discuss it and stuff like that. Yeah, you clearly do. You clearly do, Faylayer. Hey, Omega, how's it going? So yeah, if you want to just put like a little cliff notes in the chat here, we can talk about it. But I'm not gonna pull up full-blown documents and stuff to go over, just because, like I say, that ends up taking a lot of time. And as much as I like doing it, you know, I'm trying to stay productive with my streams and what I'm producing here. But I think it's awesome that you're still working on all kinds of stuff. I think that's excellent. But what we're working on here today on this one is we are finishing up our random magical events that can that can pop up while players are traveling through the underground tunnels within our mountains. Yeah, we've got a bit more to do there, and then we'll work on just getting our treasure hoards and stuff over, and then we'll be done with the underground stuff. So I'm hoping that we can get that done today. I'm hoping that I can keep myself focused enough to do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because I always end up getting so caught up having cool discussions with everyone. Which is really the fun of it, right? Like, if I didn't want to have any discussions at all, I wouldn't stream. But, you know, it's all about finding that balance, right? So let's see, a magical event. That's kind of what we're working on at this stage of everything. We had 103. You grow roots and cannot move for the next 1d4 hours unless someone cuts off your feet. Okay. I kind of actually like that one exactly as is. I kind of want to just do that, and it's like, okay, players have to figure out exactly how that's how they're gonna handle that when they're trying to travel and someone becomes rooted to the ground. So we're gonna do players roll, players toll, players roll. I don't know, just kind of randomly, doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Let's make it a dex check. Why not? Well, dexterity checks. Low. Let's make it just one of them. So lowest is impacted. You know, so like I don't. Well, I mean, we could make it a save, and make it so that, excuse me, that like possibly everyone is rooted to the ground. That'd be interesting in its own right. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of it's just one, so they have to decide. Okay, do we leave this person behind? Do we try and help them? So we're gonna leave it as one here. Let's see here. Players, ankles and feet become plant-like and are rooted to the ground. Let's see here. Lasts. I'm gonna make it 1d4 days. They won't know how long it lasts, but it could last up to those many days. Can be removed early. Hey, Lunar Kitten and Gift of Gabby. How's it going, guys? Glad to see you here. Let's see. It can be removed early via magic, or we'll call it surgery. But yeah, they could just remove via magic or cutting them off, because I don't feel like trying to figure out why I can't spell surgery today. Or cutting them off. So there we go. So that's that would be a sucky one for players to have to figure out. I love it. I love giving my players all kinds of challenges. I did. We had a pretty awesome session with one of my groups yesterday. We had a good session yesterday. Finished off a dungeon, and my players actually handled quite a hefty battle. With pretty good intelligence. They set up a few good traps for me. It was awesome. It's raining. Yeah, I feel ya. I feel ya, Lunar. When it's a rainy, gloomy day, it is definitely a different process trying to stay awake. For both of you. Yeah. It's I love rainy days, but they definitely give you that drowsy, good afternoon for a nap kind of vibe going on there. So I know the feeling. Of course, it might just be one of those days. I had a hard time getting up this morning. It was just one of those mornings. I got up. Like, I did get up out of bed with my alarm, but I have the day off from work, so I ended up just kind of lounging on the couch for a little while, and then an hour and a half later, I woke up and realized I had to get to the gym. So it was one of those mornings. You'll notice I'm still downing the coffee at this stage. One of those days. But I'm doing good overall. Like I say, we had a good session yesterday with one of my groups, and I was really impressed with how they handled. It was five player characters. Only 4 people were able to log on, so one of them controlled a couple of them. But they had 5 player characters, and they handled a massive, roughly 15 enemies, because they were in a sort of a mega dungeon situation. And they elected to just sort of round up everyone and try and take them all out in one fell swoop, rather than trying to like stealth and take out a couple of them and stuff like that. And I was initially I was pretty worried. I was pretty worried they were going to get themselves in trouble, but they actually they managed to find a good place in the dungeon and lure the enemies into a situation where there were sort of 2 bottlenecks back to back. So they were able to do the whole 300 thing where they funneled them into one little area, so it didn't matter how many they had. They were all kind of backed up on each other. And they did a really good job of handling it. I was very impressed. It was a rare example of my players actually making and sticking to a plan so that it wasn't just an all-out brawl of them all getting surrounded and wailed on by too many enemies at once. So it was a good weekend. I was really pleased with them. Yeah, they really did. They really did. It was a big brain move, to say the least. To say the least. I was really pleased with them. I was proud of them. I was proud of my little adventurers. All right, let's see here. Angel Devil Duo appear on the caster's shoulders and advise them appropriately as to what to do for the next 10 hours. Okay, all right, we can work with this. Say a magical event. Let's do players make intelligence checks. Lowest is impacted. The idea being, yeah, Gabby, it caught me a little off guard too. When they started describing where they wanted to set up and how they wanted to be prepared for the fight, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, are we actually planning this? Okay. All right, well then I won't have to worry about trying to hold back or kill all of you guys off. It was an impressive thing. I hope they learned the appropriate lesson that it's a really good thing for them to do to approach battles that way, because it was so much more fun than having to try and figure out how to tactfully and quietly nerf the enemies so that I didn't just kill off the entire team. It was amazing. Yeah, that's right. Expect the unexpected. The most unexpected being players being rational and anything other than straight up murder hobos. It's boy oh boy, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. All right, let's see here. Player check lowest. Okay, so I'm making this one an intelligence check because it's obvious it's going to be like a magical thing. So anyone who's willing to think about it, would probably realize that these angels and devils aren't actually their friends necessarily. Players aren't murder hobos. Gabby, I think you ought to cherish those players, and family members, and you hold on to them and you never let them go, because I swear to God, if I had just 2 players in a single campaign that weren't murder hobos for at least 50% of the time, like 50% of the time they didn't just act like complete barbarians that just wanted to slash and destroy everything, I would kiss their feet. So you cherish that. You cherish it. Let's see here. Player sudden. Wow, only one you suddenly sees an angel and devil on their shoulder. Let's see here. Anytime the player is going to make a decision, the 2-way in. And we'll just make it a fun role-playing thing for the DM here in this situation. Stick around. Here's what we're going to do. Stick around for 1d4 days or until the character is too boring and they leave. Just make it simple like that. Geez, man, both of you guys are rubbing it in and having your like rational roleplay heavy players that aren't just trying to kill everything. Rub it in, why don't you? Tell me where you found these players, and I will go snatch up 15 of them and just have them ready to go at any given moment. Holy crap. Alright, okay, fascination. Target is fascinated by what the caster is doing and will stop whatever he is doing to watch. Okay, perfect. We can work with that. That's easy. That's an easy one to make a distracting event for players. Okay, oops, wait, hold on. Magical event. A strange obelisk sits a short way off the path. And so we're talking about underground. Let's see here. So it's a short way. Let's say this. It's a short way down a side tunnel in the caves. Players must make wisdom. Wisdom. Some of them are wisdom. Players must make wisdom saves. Saves medium. Or else be. There's a status effect for it. A specific one for being like mesmerized. Mesmerized by. Let's see. I put an extra Z in there, didn't I? Yeah. Mesmerized by the object. Let's see here. Any who fail are stuck staring at it until they are dragged away by someone else. We'll do it that way. And then if they all fail and are all just sitting there staring at it, the whole party, we won't call it a TPK. We'll basically just say they stand there and stare at it until they're exhausted and then they collapse unconscious. Easy enough there. But boom, they lose days of travel that way. It's perfect. Okay, let's see. Oh man, I'm falling behind on the chat log here. Players keep being rational. Keep talking it out. That's like the complete opposite of 90% of the groups that exist. That is an amazing thing. That is an amazing thing. But that's what's awesome about that is it shows that you've got a group that's like really into the roleplay stuff. So like that gives you some hints about how you can structure your campaigns, especially if you're doing homebrew and stuff like that. Like, sounds like they would be a group that would really be into more like political intrigue type stuff. So you can start building missions and stuff like that, or leaning heavily into those sides of missions, you know, and you can really start making in-depth enemies as far as like their behaviors and stuff goes. You know, it sounds like that's the type of thing that they're really into. So it's like it's kind of a blessing if they're all kind of falling on the same page and stuff like that too. Really, regardless of what approach they take, just because as the DM you can start taking that into account when you're planning and preparing for sessions. So it's awesome that you're kind of picking up on those trends and seeing what they're interested in. That's the way to be right there, for sure. All right, we need another magical event. Boom, 161. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got in store here. I have so much fun with this. I love just kind of coming up with random things that will screw with players. It's so much fun to give them challenges and stuff, and just to see how they solve it and stuff like that. Okay, let's see here. What was the number? 161. Eureka, you realize what's wrong with the spell, and from now on it's never unstable. Alright, doesn't really translate very well. This list that I found is really more of like a homebrew wild magic type of table, and I just kind of use it as a springboard for ideas, but sometimes they don't always translate super well, so, but we can think about something. Realize what's wrong with the spell, and from now on it's never unstable. Okay, okay, I have an idea. I have an idea. Players walk through a zone of magical, imaginative. How do you spell imaginative? I don't know. Well, I can let the computer do it for me. I'm like the worst writer. Imaginative. Okay. Magical, imaginative stimulation. Players roll. Let's do intelligence checks. Intelligence checks. We'll set that to a medium difficult. Medium difficulty. 10,000 wild magic table. I don't know if I've seen the 10,000 one, Lunar. That sounds awesome. Imaginary. I guess imaginary is kind of the word. I'm thinking more of like imagination, like creativity is sort of what I was thinking of, is what I was going for there. Either way, it's just kind of really just a note for DM, so as long as it gets me to think the right thing later when it comes up. But players roll intelligence checks. On fail are, let's see, well, I don't know, that's like a weird way to format it. Okay, on fail, players are stricken with, let's see, with inspiration. On fail, players are stricken with inspiration that cannot be ignored until they create whatever they come up with or are magically cured of the obsession. Players can decide what their character comes up with. So it's like they're struck with like such strong inspiration about something that they refuse to continue walking and traveling. They like refuse to continue walking until they can create whatever they want, or someone breaks their focus on it, which would be really funny to see players, like if one player is affected by this and the rest of them have to like drag them off or something. I don't know. It's a random idea. It'll be fun. Hey, Soviet Tego, of course. Whatever you want to share, go for it. We'll find a way to get it thrown in here if it fits. I think that sounds like super fun. Luna, why don't you put it in the Discord? Put it in the Discord, so so I can find it later, and if anyone else wants to join and find it, it'll stay there even beyond the stream. That's kind of why I wanted the Discord up there, so that way when we're sharing ideas and links and stuff like that, it can live on beyond the stream or something like that, you know, kind of start building a community of just sharing ideas and discussing stuff. So I think that'd be a great idea. That'd be a great place for it. Alright, let's see here. Let's see here. Gabby, sounds like you've got a delicious snack going on there. And it's making me a little jealous because I do my intermittent fasting, and so I can't eat until quite a few hours from now, and it's a challenge most days, and especially in a couple hours when I start thinking about food, it's going to be really hard to not eat early. So you enjoy that for the both of us. Create a +2 rapier. Yeah, that's right. There you go, Omega. If players want to get cheeky about it, they can find some way to force themselves try it. But the problem is, the thing they got to be careful of, though, the more complicated and intense the item that their character must absolutely make, the harder it's going to be for them to satisfy, you know, and get that done with. It's like, I want to create a +7 great axe of fire damage or something like that. It's like, okay, I hope you're ready to retire and not do any adventuring for a couple years then while you figure out how to make that thing. So that's the catch there that they have to be careful of. Terrific shop that has a family of mimics in it. Use the shop as a means of ambushing unsuspecting people. That actually would be that's an intense thing, a whole family of mimics. I'm not opposed to that idea, though. That idea is amusing. Because what I'm immediately thinking of is, rather than like a family of mimics, you just it's just a small family of 4. I don't know. That's still pretty intense. Depends on the level of the players. But my immediate thought is, if we massage that just a little bit and make it so that the entire storefront is a mimic, and it's like it does like the anglerfish type thing, so the shopkeeper is just the mimic's tongue. And so if they walk in there, if the shopkeeper draws them in and they walk in, then it's like it'll just consume them. That's my first thought. I kind of like that. I'm not opposed to doing something like that. Let's see here. Yeah, that's right. That's where the idea comes from. I knew there was a vague remembrance of it. Of like, I knew that wasn't 100% original idea. That's where it comes from. Yes, 100% Soviet, the ice cream lady from SpongeBob. That's it. I mean, why not, right? It's such a great idea. It's such a clever idea. I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's see here. I gotta choose two of these. I really like the one where their feet are rooted to the ground, and so they have to like either chop off their feet or wait till their feet stop being plant roots. So I like that one. And then I like the obelisk one too, actually. Just where they're mesmerized and they just have to sit there and stare at it until someone drags them away. I think that'd be a good one. Those are good ones. Alright, there we go. Okay, let's get some more stuff going here. 787. As I sit here and scroll, as opposed to using the scroll bar. Like a fool. An absolute chump. 787. Cloud shift. Visible areas of cloudy skies clears and the clear skies cloud over. Okay, that's gonna be a really tough one because we're talking about an underground table here. So I don't know. Who's got an idea? How do we turn clouds into it? We could just make it like some sort of like fog situation. Magical event. Let's see here. Fog. Yep. Omega fog. I feel that. Cave that has dripping noises from the stalactites. Actually, ooze is dripping down to attack. That's a pretty good one. That'd be a good one. So I would almost use that as just the flavor for a combat encounter. Is what I would do for that one. With the dripping and turning into the oozes. Which I stayed away from the oozes in this cave. But as a general idea, I like that one. I think that's a really good one. Because that gives the players an opportunity to use like their player knowledge on top of their character knowledge, you know. So it's like if I am describing like, yeah, you start hearing like what sounds like dripping water splashing on the ground, and if any of them kind of like pause for a second and they think like, that's kind of weird that would happen out of nowhere in a cave, like what could that possibly be, and then give them the chance to like to do some sort of investigation or intelligence check or something so that they don't get ambushed by him. Just as a general idea, I think that's a good one. The other thing is that would be a really good thing to use in an actual dungeon as opposed to as part of like the random traveling events. I think that'd be a really good dungeon, like a trap room or something like that. That has the feel of being a really good dungeon mechanic where it's like they go in and like the door closes and suddenly like a few seconds after the door closes they start hearing the dripping. You know what I mean? So it's like it kind of makes it a bit more apparent that there's something happening as opposed to just like an environmental thing. Because the risk that you run when you just describe traveling and just are describing environmental situations, the risk you run is almost making them too paranoid so that they stop just like traveling, which is fine. You know, it's not the worst thing to be paranoid, but it also adds a whole lot of time to mundane things. So it's like there's always a fine line to balance there. But in general, I like the idea. I do. Let's see here. Fog or spores. Ooh, spores would be a bad idea. Let's do this. Players make, let's do constitution checks. Medium. Let's see, actually, you know, let me just describe. Players walk through what at first seems to be some sort of mist. Constitution checks. On success, realize that they are spores and cover their face in time. On fail, inhale enough spores to develop and develop an infection that lasts 1d4 days. While infected, movement speed is halved, and let's see here. It's like a respiratory thing, so it's like while infected, movement speed is halved, and let's say, and okay, here we go. I have an idea. And disadvantage on physical attacks after the 5th round of combat. So it's like they've got a respiratory infection. It inhibits how quickly they can move, right? So their movement speed is halved. And then as battles go on longer, they just get fatigued quicker. So they're at disadvantage for all of their fights as fights go on longer, right? And it's like, and that one, I'm getting the idea for that one, just thinking about personal experience of trying to train, like, you know, doing my kickboxing training at the tail end of a cold or something like that, where it's like, you know, you're pretty much good to go, but you're still got a little bit of that extra phlegm that still shows up in your throat and your lungs and stuff like that. So it's like if you try to spar in that situation, first few rounds you're going to be good, but then you're going to get real tired real quick because you just can't breathe as well. So we'll set it up like that. And so it's just like an infection, but they have to figure out how to deal with that, you know, and determine whether or not that's going to impact their decisions about entering dungeons and combats and stuff like that. So I think that's a good one. I think that's a really good one. All right, what do you got, Soviet? The idea is a hobgoblin leading a small band of goblins using a trap and ambush tactics on a road. Having small underground tunnels for the goblins to use, and fake grass spots that are actually secret doors to the goblins to use pop-up, shoot arrows, or throw spears at the party from various places at once. Okay, I love that idea, and here's why I love it. I actually, so this weekend I have a big session. There's a big session. So one of my groups, we live close enough to do in person, but it's hard for us to do in person regularly, just because, you know, we're like adults with jobs and shit, and it sucks, but it's the truth of our lives. So we've started doing, like, you know, small sessions every Monday night, and then we'll do like when we can, like once a month, we'll do like a big in-person session where we'll do like a big dungeon crawl type of situation, and we're doing one of those this weekend. And the dungeon I have prepared for them uses that same concept. It's in a cave with underwater tunnels. So there are like like different mermaids and stuff like that, and like myrmidons and whatnot that will pop up in random like openings to the underground or the underground waterway tunnels, and so they can pop up and attack, like come and go with the attacks that way. So I love that idea to the point that I've actually used that. And like I say, that's a really good dungeon mechanic. It's a really good dungeon mechanic because it's a fun way. What's good about it that way is it gives me an excuse to have enemies realistically show up as opposed to just waiting for the players to walk into their room, especially when it's like an open space, like you're describing a field or a cave. It's a really good excuse to limit how many attack them at once. So that way they're not like overwhelmed with 500 enemies at once if they're trying to stick to the tunnels and just like pop up and do pot shots, right? It makes it possible so that you can, rather than having like a specific number of enemies in this room and no one else enters that room, it's like you can just sort of decide, okay, here's the massive pool of enemies that exist in this dungeon, and you just have a few of them popping up at a time, and you just kind of have the players whittle down through them, or just try and survive their way quickly going through and then get out. So I love that idea. I really do love that idea. That's a good one. But it's a really good dungeon mechanic. Let's see, what else you got here? Large fake tree the bugbear uses to go underground with the goblins. Okay, alright, yeah. It's just like it's a hollowed out thing. What was, didn't they use that in the more recent, not really recent, but the 2000s remake of Get Smart with Steve Carell? Didn't they have like a tree? Or no, it was like the Washington Monument. They like walk out to it, and there's like a secret door that goes down to their like underground base or something like that. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Just like basically playing the no, you're fine. Don't, yeah, it's an obscure reference to a movie that wasn't super well received. So don't worry. But yeah, it's a good idea, and like I like the idea of basically forcing the players to play whack-a-mole. Right? They can't strategize. They have to just like try and be ready, and as soon as one pops up, have them just like try and quickly get a shot off before the thing disappears again. Just like I said, the whack-a-mole concept really amuses me. I love that idea. Magical event. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to use in dungeons. Like I say, it's a good excuse to fill a dungeon with enemies without having to try and explain away, particularly to a roleplay heavy group. It's a good way to sort of get them to, if they want a reason for why the enemies are or aren't doing a specific thing. If they're just trying to whack-a-mole them, it can be a really good one. a good excuse for why there's lots of enemies that aren't just like gang rushing them. Had a dungeon, plant life creatures would only attack if the players damage the dungeon, so they had to do to get past certain puzzles. Yeah, stuff like that, like having passive enemies that will only attack if attacked. I love doing stuff like that. The problem is I do stuff like that all the time, trying to get players to think about the concept of like, oh, sometimes maybe we're the bad guys because we're the ones forcing our way into the home of these other creatures. But usually what ends up happening is the players are like, well, I'm just gonna storm into this dungeon and steal stuff, and then as soon as they get attacked, their attitude isn't like, oh, sorry, we upset you. Their attitude is, how dare you attack me, the hero, while I'm trying to steal your shit. And I'm always like, God, you guys, like, have some self-awareness. I mean, come on. Oh, I see what you're talking about, Soviet Psycho. So like the idea of like, yeah, the Sleepy Hollow one where the horseman like dives into the base of the tree. Okay, yeah, I feel that. Okay, yeah, that's a fun idea too. Gosh, it's been a while since I thought about that. Been a while since I thought about Sleepy Hollow. But no, I feel you. I smell what you're stepping in. Did we already do? Yeah, we already did the 787. Let's find another one here. Let's keep this train a rolling. 194. I love trying to situate it so that my players as heroes have to like think about it for a minute and be like, wait a minute. Are we the heroes or are we being dickheads right now? I love kind of trying to force them to reckon with that idea. It doesn't always work. They do, and I mean rightly so. They are supposed to be the heroes. It's okay for them to be a little self-centered. But yeah, it's like it's all it's a fun thing to try and get them to be a little self-aware from time to time. All right, 194. Hello, your friends, even distant ones, are mystically teleported to your location. Oh, okay. All right. Wait, what you got here? Enchanted armor set up in the treasure room. There's a trick. This armor is actually a mimic that needs to wear. Okay. All right. Definitely, I like that one. Soviet. In fact, I think I'm gonna use that one. But rather than it being sitting in a treasure room, we're just gonna have some armor sitting along the path, and let them, some armor sitting on a skeleton. But maybe there's like some subtle clues that suggest that this might not actually just be armor and that it's the mimic, and then they just have to deal with the one mimic if they get too close to it. So I'm gonna take that. So let's see here. Along the path, a pristine set of armor. Your lineman is now chaotic. Gosh, like, oh my god, you jest. But the fact is, I'm pretty sure most of my players actually play their characters so that they really should all be chaotic. I don't know if any of them are actually all that like lawful in anything they do. Let's see here. Pristine set of armor lays on. Actually, let's see it. It covers a very old and broken skeleton. Let's see here. Animated armor is a good one. Animated armor. See, if it's animated armor, let me think here. Teeth mark. Oh, I like that idea. Teeth marks on the skeleton when they remove the armor. That's a very good idea. But we won't make it so that they have to remove it. They can just like, if they look kind of closely at the bones in between the pieces, of the armor, like they can notice that type of stuff there. Man, you guys have a lot of good ideas for this armor one. Hold on, I want to catch up with all your ideas here. Can I have another set of armor that has oozes inside the armor, waiting for the unsuspecting people to get near it before they ooze out and attack? Yeah, like they go to grab the armor and it starts like leaking at the joints and stuff. I'm gonna stick with the mimic idea for this one. Let's see here. Skeleton. If players look closely between the joints of the armor, can notice teeth marks on the skeleton. It is a mimic. It is a mimic that will attack if the armor armor is... Gosh dang it. I'm struggling here. Attack if the armor is touched or if all players walk away and turn their backs on it. Boom, we'll just do it that way. Let's see here. This armor is covering and shouldn't be accessible to predators. That's a good clue. Yeah. Just like... Yeah, I don't know about exactly how I would do the details of it. Honestly, I don't think it would matter all that much if you just describe that there's like teeth marks on the skeleton, like that in and of itself, just as far as getting players to understand there's something strange going on. That would be the way to do it. That'd be the way to do it, because you don't want it to be too covered up, because then they would never actually see the teeth marks, right? Because they would just like grab the armor and then the mimic would attack them. So you gotta like find the balance. So that's why I just say like if they can look closely and see if there are teeth marks on the skeleton, then they would understand like, oh wait a minute, this is weird. Let's see, what's this other idea? Could have some kind of evil druid that's controlling bugs and having them inside a suit of knight armor and use it as a puppet. Yeah, like some sort of weird voodoo armor or something like that. Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good. There's so many fun ways you could do an armor. My first thought too is whoever it was up there that mentioned the idea of animated armor, you could make it really innocent, so it's animated armor, but the armor just always wanted to be an actor or whatever. So like the animated armor just starts dancing and doing like, you know, like putting on a show for anyone who looks at it. And it's like anyone who tries to use the armor will have to fight with it when it just like starts trying to dance because it feels like it or something like that. That'd be a really innocent way to screw with players a little bit. Make them wonder if there's something more sinister going on. When my favorite thing to do is to offer something that's clearly magical, but on the surface is innocent, and let them just read into it too much, and understand things. Animated armor needs master. I mean, maybe lore as written, but we're talking about homebrew. We can do whatever the hell we want. And if it's just going to be a magical random event, you know, like we're doing for these tables, I mean, that's the beauty of D&D and working with like a high fantasy magical world and stuff like that. You can kind of make things do exactly what you want. Like really what it comes down to, the way I see it, is like there needs to be a consistent reason for it, but you can make up what those reasons are. You can kind of establish what the rules are. And it's like, I think it's a regular thing that happens and can continue to happen. It is that like something is imbued with magical sentience, so to speak, and then it retains that sentience beyond the original master being there to puppet it, so to speak. You know, so that would be, you know, like if you just have that as a type of, existing type of magic in your world, then I mean all bets are off at that point in time. I think that's great. I think that works really well. Let's see here, what do we got? The rogue weapon that just makes noise or starts talking whenever it tries to sneak. Yeah, it's like it's trying to help, but it's super oblivious. So it's like a hood that you put it on, and the hood just like in like a really high pitched voice. It's like, oh, are we going sneaking now? Ah, that's fun. And it's like it just like blows their cover every time. Or it's like, or if the rogue, if they get a bad roll, it's like they rustle like a bush just a little bit that like they could get away with, but then the hood's like oh, they're gonna hear us, you gotta be better about it, and just like talks out loud. It can't help itself. It's like it's like an impulsive child or something. That'd be hilarious. I love that idea. Through the animated armor, it's the soul of a child in there who was placed in it to protect it, but it moves to hug others because it's scared and alone. Oh my god, that's a great idea, Lunar, but also it's really depressing. That's giving me, you know what that gives me? That gives me, oh, I'm gonna forget like the names of it, but in Full Metal Alchemist, I think it was Brotherhood. Yes, Soviet Psycho, 100%. The Full Metal Alchemist. You knew exactly where I was going with it. The girl that was transmuted into a dog, or with her dog, like super sad. And it's like, I love throwing stuff at that, like stuff like that at my players. So I may actually use that idea, but it's like, I wouldn't relegate that to a random event. I would have that be sort of the conclusion of a side mission or something like that, just because that hits too hard for just a random event. Because I worry about if random events really in any direction, are too emotionally charged, it can sort of derail what else you're working on that's more important to the campaign during that session, if that makes sense. Like, I really like to keep emotionally charged things. I love using emotionally charged things in any direction. I love using those, but I don't use them as random events. I use them as planned, purposeful things. Is sort of what I do. Yeah, exactly, Lunar. It's okay to use those things to like keep people sort of humble and keep them like, you know, especially if you have a group that likes the role play, likes a more serious setting. It's a really good tool to use. But yeah, I try to keep those relegated to planned events rather than random ones. Just because like it's such a like it would be a good gut punch, but it's like if your players are doing like a lighthearted treasure hunt or something like that, and then just a random event like, oh yeah, here's this bit of depression for you guys, it can be a little jarring. Let's see here, some kind of abomination. Party fights. Later finds out that it was an evil scientist experiment. Yeah. So Soviet. I don't know if you were around a while back before I started this project. I actually have a mansion that's kind of like that, where it's like this evil guy was doing all kinds of experiments of transmuting people, and so it's like all of the enemies that are in there are things that are like half human, half beast. So there's like centaurs and harpies and minotaurs and stuff like that, where it's like half human, half not human, and it's like they're attacking not because they're angry, but because they're distraught and confused. And so it's like, you know, that players, as they're going through and killing all of these things, might find notes from the mad scientist. That's like the mad scientist describing what happened when he like combined a child with this other animal or something like that. So then, like, they've already committed to killing a bunch of stuff, and then sort of slowly they start to realize the horror of what's going on. And so it's like, it's a really good way to, again, make them wonder, like, oh, shoot, were we unwittingly the bad guys? Like, should we have been trying to help these creatures rather than just, like, straight up killing them? But yeah, no, I've actually kind of used that idea before. I love that kind of stuff. Just as long as it's not a random event. Random events, the random events are more, like, lighthearted in tone, and more so just, like, impact them so that when they arrive at their destination, they could possibly have a few like disabilities to have to deal with and have to balance how they wanna approach things, or they could just be cheesy and long rested until it's gone. But most players, the one thing that I always have a talk. So here's a good DM tip, especially if you're a new DM. One thing that I have a talk with, especially with new players, is the concept of answering the call to adventure. You know, and so I always tell them, like, it would be easy enough for us to, with our actual real life logic, be able to look at a situation and be like, this is obviously a trap. You know, it would be smarter and it would be easier for us to not be goaded into this. You know, or it's like, you know, we could probably handle this situation. You know, it's like, oh, this seems like a dangerous situation. Maybe we should call the city guard to come help us. And so I always kind of have this talk with them that it's like, if that's how you want to play your game, that's 100% you can do that. You can 100% do that. But one thing that's important to keep in mind is the concept of the call to adventure and answering the call, right? Like, there are so many situations in which it would be smarter to not answer the call to adventure, but at the end of the day, we are sitting here playing a game. So it's okay for you to willfully choose to enter a situation that, even though you logically know might not be the smartest idea, you know, if you want to have a game to play, if you want to have challenges, if you want to do that, then you go in and do it. You know, it's like anyone could play Fallout and realize the smartest thing to do is probably just go ahead and, you know, stay within the confines of the vaults. You know, or at least in most of the vaults, because the fact is you have food, water, air, everything, and you know that outside of it is going to be a nuclear holocaust. So it's like, logically, that seems like the bright idea, right? But that doesn't make for a very fun game, does it? So we all answer the call to adventure, even though we know our better judgment would say 9 out of 10 of us would stay in that vault and just, you know, do our part and get through life that way. So it's like, you know, so I love these magical events that'll give them challenges, so that way it's like, as long as they're willing to answer the call to adventure, they have some difficulties that they have to face. But I don't know. That was a bit of a tangent, bit of an aside there, but something worth talking about, especially if we're going to be talking and giving DM tips to one another and stuff like that. So that's something that I think about a lot. Mimic pretending to be a treehouse. These children are unsuspecting small creatures. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. Wouldn't fit in our cave, but as a general idea, that would be a good one. That would be a good, like, side mission for a city. Like, if we're just trying to, like, if I'm just trying to fill out, like, you know, a session. They finished, like, the main story stuff that I had in mind for them for that session, and we still want to keep going a little bit longer. That would be a pretty good side mission. It's just like, oh, they find a help wanted poster. There's some sort of, like, horrible haunted treehouse that's already consumed 3 children. And some children are always like, you know, they can't help themselves. They still, they still go up there. You know, like it draws them up there because inside, like it also looks like there's ice cream or something. That'd be a really good side mission. Be a really good side mission. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's always a good thing to make sure players have a reason to adventure. You know, and I always kind of tell them that too. It's like you don't always have to have it be just like a random thing that's nonsensical, but make sure your character is designed to be one that is, you know, make sure it's, you know, their character is designed in such a way that they have this draw to these dangerous adventures, whether it's for treasure, whether it's for glory, whatever it is. Like there's something in them that draws them to it. You know, like a lot of times I'll try to make sure there's a story purpose for it. But, you know, like why would they, again, it's like why would they, you know, and what you're talking about, why would they choose to do it as opposed to letting the city guard take care of it or something like that? So that's definitely a good point. Definitely a good point. Opposed to say missing children. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could just say missing children last seen in this neighborhood, you know, and there's like a park there that has the treehouse or something like that. Yeah, that would work. That would work really well. And just have them try to, you know, play detective and figure out what's going on there. Yeah, so yes, much to Omega's excitement, 604 does mention oozes, so let's see what we got here. Caster is buried to the chest in awful that oozes from a gate that spontaneously appears. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do for this magical event. Players make perception checks. Lowest falls into a near imperceptible no with a B, perceptible, there it is, a near imperceptible hole that is filled with ooze. The ooze, let's see here, let's do this. The ooze isn't sentient, but it will digest the player within a couple minutes unless they are pulled out and will do rinsed off in some way of the ooze. So we'll do it that way. So there's just like a pothole that they fall into, and it's got like this it's like an ooze that's basically just digestive enzymes, right? And so it's like it'll start digesting them slowly. So it's almost more of like a fungus or something like that. So that's what my immediate thought is when they're walking through the mountains. You know, it's like in an underground tunnel, because it would be really tough to see, especially if it's like a black ooze that sits there and fills the ground, right? Fills the floor. So it's like they walk along and just like bloop, just like fall in, and like, and it's like the clue we could say with ooze. They, let's hear, immediately feel a burning sensation. Wowie sensation on any exposed skin. So that's their clue that it's not just like slimy gross. Might freak out that it's black pudding. Yeah, I mean, they could freak out about that, and then it's just kind of like let them figure out what they want to do about that, all that kind of stuff. It'd be really good. I really wish Steam wouldn't always tell me every time when people are playing games when I don't actually have Steam open. Drives me insane. Drives me insane. It's an odd thing for me to get irritated about, but it just kind of plays into the fact that I hate that everything is a damn commercial. Because watch, it's going to do it again, too. It always does it twice. It always does it twice. Like it's a text message that I'm supposed to pay attention to, but I'm not. Just you wait. Just you wait. It'll happen. It'll happen. Other two suggestions. Sorry, I'm falling behind. Let's see here. Campfire mimic that's inside the cave. Have that suit of armor next to it too. With it, That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I don't know though. You're leaning so heavy into the mimics. I don't want this to turn into the mimic dungeon though. That's the concern. Treasure chest has large ooze. Uses as a bed when the party opens. That's okay. I like that one. I like that one. That would be a really good dungeon one. That would be a really good dungeon one where it's like they find a treasure chest and they're like, oh, this is it. This is what we were looking for. And they open it up and then it's just like almost like ink. Just like opens up and just like it's just like ooze hits him in the face or something like that. Where it's like comedic but also dangerous. I really like that idea. But that would be, I would use that one in a dungeon. I would use that one in a dungeon. Yeah, exactly. Face hugger moment, for sure. Okay, 486. Let's see here. Teleport. You, everybody, and everything in a 100-foot radius will be teleported in a random direction. Ooh. Okay. Let's see here. I love the concept of being randomly teleported, but the trick is to find a way to have a teleportation disrupt them without completely derailing things, if that makes sense. Like, I love the idea of them being teleported to random places on Earth, but that would like really disrupt things, and it's like you have to be careful too, because I don't want them to suddenly be in a completely different campaign than the one that I've got prepared for. So let's do players. Only 1P. Players mistakenly enter a teleportation. Why? Oh, because there's 2 P's there. Teleportation zone. Let's see here. Yeah, on a ledge on the other side of the cave. Yeah, like I'm thinking it'll just like teleport them to like a random place within the cave that's like nearby. So it's like they're still within the caves, but they're not sure where they are. So they have to like make make survival checks or something like that to try and navigate back to where they were or something like that. Let's see here. Let's do all are teleported to various spots within the tunnels. Let's see here. Players must. I don't know. I'm trying to think about. I try because the one thing that's a hard one with the teleports too is. Okay, here we go. Here's a different idea. Teleportation zone. Have one player roll a. Let's see. Have one player roll a percentile die. Actually, let's see here. Play roll 1d100. Let's say if 25 or below are teleported forward and gain a day. If greater than 25 are teleported back and lose a day of travel. So it's just like it's an inconvenience, but it's not something that's going to like enter them in this weird situation of being like, because it's like if you make it too much of a disruption and them just traveling, that turns into the campaign. Hey, human robot, how's it going? It's like that turns into the campaign as opposed to just something that happens along the way. It's sort of the risk that you run with teleporting them into like 2 random places. So it's just like it's a teleportation zone, and we'll just leave it up to chance whether it helps them or hurts them. That can be. It's a simple one, but sometimes you don't need everything to be super complicated. So I think that's a good one. Maybe not my favorite, maybe not my tour de force of coming up with random magical events, but it'll work. It'll serve. Okay, I gotta pick a couple of these to bring up to our other daytime table here. I really like this one. I really like that this one could impact their combat and everything like that. I think that's a really interesting challenge to have them have to face. So I want to do that one. The armor. I actually really like this Hole of Ooze one too. I really like that one. So let's take that one and put it right there. Well, just take it, copy it, and put it right there. Alright, so Next set here, 505. Let's see here. Needed. This is not quite what you thought should happen, but you conjure the one thing you and your party needs most at this very moment, be it a piece of parchment with the layout of the dungeon you are trapped in or anything else. Your DM will know what you need the most and will give it to you. The item disappears at the end of the session. Oh, okay. I like that idea. I like that idea. Magical event. Let's see here. Sitting on a pedestal, excuse me. A pedestal. Pedestal, not pedestal. Sitting on a pedestal on the path ahead is an object that will be immensely useful to the group. DM discretion. Is it discretion? Discretion? I don't know, man. I can't spell. I'm not a writer. DM choice. Fuck it. I don't want to sit here and fight with it and try to be a better writer than I am. DM choice on what that object is. Discretion. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll do that. I appreciate you. See, this is why it's good to work together as a team, because other people can cover up for the fact that I have the worst spelling capabilities of most people that would try to be writing something. To the point that, like, it's to the point where I was once embarrassed about it, but it is such a ubiquitous part of my life that I'm numb to the embarrassment. It's just that's what it is. Hey, Zarkle, what is happening? What is happening? All kinds of things are happening. We're sitting here working on making some random event tables for just mundane travel through a D&D world, so that way traveling can still be a time-consuming thing without it being boring for players. So that's what we're working on right now. Specifically, we are using a wild magic table, a homebrew wild magic table, as a springboard for ideas to make random magical events that could happen to them. Because the world that I'm building is one in which there was a whole lot of magical chaos and calamity that occurred in the world. And so there's a lot of like magical radiation that exists around. So they're just, as they're traveling, it's possible that they'll step into weird areas of weird magical crap that goes on. And so we're just coming up with fun ideas of what could possibly help or hinder players as they're traveling along. And that is what's happening, my friend. Glad you're here. Let's see here. So what that object is, object. Let's see here. Object stays around for 1d4 days and then simply disappears. Boom. We'll do that. And it's just like, I like the idea of that object just simply disappearing too, because knowing players, they will get super paranoid about why the thing is gone. They're going to start assuming that they're being followed, or that someone in the party is like stealing from the party or something like that. I think it'd be great. I think that's a great addition, because players are paranoid little psychos, and they'll freak out about that. All right, number 88. What's number 88 got for us here? Looking for some happiness. A prostitute turns up from nowhere and wants to do your bidding. Boy, oh boy, that one is very dependent on your on your group and their interests. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and just say it right here and right now. Not interested in having a random prostitute walking around in the wilds in my game. Not my style. That said, we can probably still do something along these lines. We'll change it from a prostitute to something different. I don't know, what is it? Just like maybe there's like a random ass like clown or something that wants to entertain. Just like a random bard. No one really understands why he's there. Let's see, a traveling salesperson. Yeah, carpetbagger. Just like, hey, I've got watches. You want watches? I've got watches. You know what? Actually, here's what I like. As players are traveling along, As players are traveling along, suddenly they'll, let's see, oh wait, along, have them make a perception check. Highest notices first that they are now accompanied by the ghost of a dwarven bard. He explains that he's been stuck here for centuries and is so bored and would love to join them. Can do nothing in combat, but will happily entertain them if they like. Will stick around for 1d4 days until he decides to go do something else. There, simple as that. Simple as that. That works. Yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. Random creature doesn't, you know, I like, one of the risks I always have about, one of the things that like I can't, like is always is hard for me about giving them a functional player is that's just more stuff that I have to keep track of, so I try to avoid it as best I can. But I think that'll work. Let's see here. Okay, Zarkle, I see you got something. I'll get to that in just a second, because I first want to address not even Bardic Inspiration. No, this is 100% goofy silliness. He will not give them Bardic Inspiration. He'll just sit there and either entertain or annoy them, depending on the character. I like the idea of this one being even more innocent. Magical event. Just because I think it's funny. Alright, let's see here. Okay, what do you got, Zarkle? The pedestal is an orb. If the orb is touched, the toucher can only say a word that's determined by the TM. To remove it, you need to cast, remove curse, or destroy the orb. Oh, that's not bad. I kind of did something similar. There's a similar event where there was a music box in one of my games where, like, if it opened up, the music box would magically start singing about the person holding it, and that person would become obsessed with it. And the only way to get them to, like, to stop opening it up and having the song keep playing over and over again is to take it from them and destroy it, really. But even then, for a couple of hours, they can be heard just like humming along to the song. So yeah, I like that idea. We can use that. Let's make use of that. Let's see here. Let's do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use it over here just because that way it'll be at a different. That way it's not like too many pedestal events happening at one level set here. Magical event. Let's see here. A strange. You know what I'm gonna do? A strange, slightly glowing stone sits on the side of the path. Anyone who touches it can only say one word chosen by DM. Curse can only be removed by destroying the stone or by magical means. And we'll do it like that. I like that idea. We'll go with it. We'll use it. Okay, let's see. Let's get another one going here. 441. Probably should just use the bar rather than my really slow mouse wheel. Elemental. Greater Fire Elemental sees you as one of the ancient lost elementals. In order to help you in the quest, grants resistance to all kinds of fire and heat. You'll also grow the mark of fire on your forehead, and your pupils from now on glow with a deep red light. May be removed by curse at 1/3 normal chance. Okay, all right. I'm gonna use that as a springboard, but I'm not gonna use exactly that. Let's see here. Attached to the wall of the cavern is a candle that is lit. Whoever is the first to investigate it will trigger the flame coming to life. The flame is a tiny, weak elemental that imprints on the investigating player like a duckling. It will follow for 1d4 days before wandering off. Boom. So they just have like a little pet candle flame that just kind of follows them around. And it's like a fire, so you can just kind of role play it, but it's like it can be used to light a fire if they want to. If they get too close to it, there's the risk of it lighting their clothes on fire. I don't know, something innocent like that. And like I like things like that just because for me it's like I'm not really going to think too much more detail about what the details of that would be. We'll let my players sort of yes and that one. Give them a small little companion for a couple days and just see what they do with it. See what they come up with to do with it. And be willing to like the other thing about it too is always be willing to expand it. Like it sticks around for 1d4 days, but if they become extremely emotionally attached to it, maybe I just let them keep it like a little pet or something like that, as long as they're not finding too many ways to have it be overpowered, functionally or something like that. Why not do little ideas like that? So okay, so that's a good one. Let's get another one going here. 968, all the way down towards the end here. 68, disease. Target gets a random disease. Random. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Magical event. Let's see here. Players make Constitution saves. Let's just do make Constitution checks. Lowest is affected. So just one of them will get sick. Let's see here. Player is stricken with, I'm not going to do it random, I'm going to preset one just so that way I'm not taking too much time to randomly think about things or look things up in the middle of a session. So we're going to say a player stricken with a sleeping sickness is very difficult to get them to travel and will slow down the party to half speed unless treated or otherwise helped along. Lasts 1d4 days. So they've got like a sickly guy that they have to figure things out. And let's say disadvantage on all actions in combat while sick. So they have to figure out how to handle that. So let's see here. Mummy rot. Oh wow, that's. I'm gonna try and pronounce your name. Tekjil. Mummy rot. Is that an actual rules as written thing? I'm not familiar with that. Not nunny rot. Nunny rot. That'd be an interesting thing. What would nutty rot be? Let's see here. Mummy rot antidote. Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what the antidote does. We can just kind of work backwards from there. Oh, I don't have that stuff. Okay, I'm not purchasing anything. Today. It ain't happening. All right, I'll let you explain it to me. Because I'm not familiar with it, and it's drawn up a blank in my brain space. Let's see here. Find it under mummy. Oh, okay. Let's see here, mummy. Let's do it. Let's see here. Preserve rat, punish creature ritual. Let's see. I feel stupid. Oh, here we go. Curse with the mummy rot. Cursed target can't regain hit points, and its hit point maximum decreased by 10 for every 24 hours lapse. Curse reduces target's hit point maximum to 0. Dies. Jesus, that's horrible. Yeah, I've never really used mummies before. They've never come up in any of my campaigns. I've not used it before. Yeah, that sounds horrible. And it makes me think I gotta use some damn mummies in my games. Holy crap, I gotta use those. That's intense for sure. All right, hold on. Before it disappears, I do see Zarko. You got another idea here. Hold on. I've been so wrapped up. I keep keep putting it off. Let's see, what do you got? How about a coin that gives them a stone golem that follows that command for 1d4 days? Then try to fake still being under their command while sabotaging them and trying to kill them secretly. Okay, so it's like infiltrating them. That's something I would use. That I feel like I would use an idea like that, Zarkle, in an actual dungeon, right? Give them the chance to, like, in this dungeon, find a creature that, like, they think they can, you know, sort of like convince to join them as opposed to the enemy within that dungeon or the mansion or whatever. But the thing is, like, just trying to butter them up and, like, trying to get them to the boss, and then we'll, like, betray them during a boss battle or something like that. Or it's like they get to the boss and the boss has some sort of sway to undo whatever alliance they have. So I really like that idea, but I think I think I'm gonna back pocket that one for when we get to actual dungeons rather than a random magical table, because I think that one's got a lot more. I think that's got a lot more potential for, like, really cool interactions, and it deserves more than just, like, a random event that'll kind of be a come and go type of thing. But yeah, I like that idea. And yes, I agree. For a CR3 monster, the mummy rot is a really intense thing. There are some monsters within the rules that they do have, like, strangely powerful things. Like I know the Banshee whales, strangely powerful for their CR, right? Like, I would expect them to be much higher on the challenge rating just because, like, while it's true, they, you know, in terms of just hit point damage for a basic attack and the hit points that they have, not too intense, but then when they just have those powers that can just, like, instantly kill people, it's like, boy, that should shoot it straight up, right? That should put it way up there. But yeah, no, yeah, mummy rot, I'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah, I've never really used mummies before. I'll have to keep that in mind, though, because I have hags. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes, hags for sure. I love using hags, but I always come up with a reason, even if it's just me being nice. I always come up with a reason to be very sparing on the hag screeches and stuff like that. Like, whenever there's an insta-kill type of situation, I always try to be conservative on how often I use those types of things, because I don't want to be, like, too afraid to just go ahead and wail on my players a bit, because they can always withstand more than they think. Yeah, I don't know. It's always, you always run a risk of really upsetting a party or going into a TPK if you are too loose with those types of things. So yeah. Okay, let's see here. What'd you say here? I had a ghost age one of my players by 40 years. Yes, I've used aging things before. I love doing that. One of my recent sessions, one of my players walked through a magical area and got reduced to a baby, and so they were a useless baby for a while. So my world have an afterlife. So the way I do things in my world is with the ethereal planes. Like, so I guess the short answer is yes, there's an afterlife. The way I do it is it's basically, like, based on alignment and worship of different gods and stuff like that. If someone dies, they are transported to, or they're, like, reincarnated in whatever plane sort of most iconically, like, most fits how they live their lives, if that makes sense. You know, so it's like they kind of are... their spirit is brought to the area or the plane where they are most at home, and it's like, unless there's something that draws them out of it, like, that's kind of where they spend eternity after a mortal life. But even that's not the end of it, because there's all kinds of things that can draw them back into the mortal plane, including just being born, stuff like that. So the short answer is yes. Let's see here. Homunculus follows Party 1d4 trying to escape its creator. If a chance its owner is one of its rivals. That's not a bad idea. Gibbering Mouth is pretty scary. Yes, I agree with you. Fought one in a trapped house. Damn, gotta apologize to everyone because it was hard. Yeah. No, it's well, and, like, the thing about it too is I try to not worry too much about if a combat ends up being too intense for players, because a lot of it is just randomness, right? If all of your players are rolling low on their attacks and your monsters are rolling high on their attacks, you could have a party of level 20s against just a handful of kobolds. If the dice refuse to, give you the rolls that you need, they can just slowly whittle you down and kill all of you. And that's kind of one of the fun things about it too. But that's why, as the DM, I always think that it is not even just okay, but oftentimes a better idea to be willing to fudge rolls and maybe have enemies make decisions that might not be the most logical for the sake of tempering it and making sure that even if it's a difficult situation, it doesn't destroy the game. It's like, I'm not afraid to force my players to think about, oh, we should run away. Like, we're in trouble. We should probably run away from this. I'll let them do that. But, it's kind of like if they get to that point where they're trying to run away, I'll have the enemies kind of be half-hearted in pursuing them. Because the last thing that you want is to just end the game based on bad dice rolls and stuff like that. So that's what I always try to do. Oh, hey, Stumpy Hands, thank you for the raid. Holy crap. Uh-oh, things gonna get wild and crazy in here. Oh boy. Everyone, welcome our guests. Welcome to the party. We are coming up with magical events and discussing magical things that can distract a party while they're traveling. So glad to have everyone here. Let's see here. What the fuck was I talking about? I got distracted. Raids are so exciting. It's been a minute since I've had one. It's so much fun. Let's see. I'm like a puppy. Like, suddenly exciting things are happening. I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? Oh boy. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Okay, what do you got? Lunarel? Backstory on the counter was doing a Dark Soul theme-ish campaign. There were no death saving throw. We had to unlock the ability to use magic too. Jeez, yeah, that sounds intense. That sounds super intense. I always like the idea of a Dark Souls type of campaign, but I feel like it takes a special group of friends to or a special group of players to actually put their money where their mouth is and mean that they want a Dark Souls. Usually what they mean is they want to be barely standing at the end of combat, whereas Dark Souls is more like, no, you will get killed and you will be beaten down again and again and again. And usually people find that very disheartening, especially in a D&D campaign where it's not a matter of okay, we'll spend 3 minutes to get back there and try again. It's it takes a long time, just in terms of real life time, to set up an encounter and do a combat there. So it's I always like the idea of Dark Souls, but it's always it always kind of turns into more Dark Souls light whenever you try to run a campaign like that. At least it has for me. It has for me always. But let's see here. Okay, so we've got our 4 things here. Let me just grab a couple of them and chuck them up there, and we'll keep trucking forward here. We're getting close. We're trying to finish off these magical tables for our underground travel session through the mountains of this particular region of the campaign we're working on here. And so the magical events here. Jeez, we've been chit-chatting so much, and you guys have so many ideas. I forgot exactly what the fuck I already put on here. Pedestal, that's the useful one. That's right. Perception check. Oh yeah, I like the ghost bard. I like the ghost bard that's just there and just watching them, because I can feel my players. I can already feel my players getting super annoyed and feeling super judged by the guy that's just sitting there watching them and can't help them with a fight, but is just sitting there watching them try to fight. I think that sounds hilarious. I think that sounds absolutely hilarious.
It's not about the ideas, it's about how you
a group of knights fighting a dragon that's actually an illusion. That sounds like an interesting idea, Zarkle. That doesn't really fit in the world that I'm working on. But I do like the idea of them coming across. I think it would be really funny to find them come across a group of knights that are just swinging their swords at nothing, looking like they're LARPing or something like that, but they're convinced that there's a dragon, and the party's just watching them what's going on here? I think that'd be really funny. Let's see, what do you got? It's hard from all the things you did, and won all our hard battles, mostly because of gunpowder. We nearly died in that one random gibbering mouth. Sure. I mean, yeah, if they've got gunpowder, that definitely will change the balance of things quite a bit. Just picked out a random monster without reading it, because, oh yeah. That's a risky thing to do. Picking something without really being aware of what it is. Not that I've. And that's something I can say it's a risky thing to do, because it's 100% what I've done and will still continue to do. I never really properly learned my lesson as a DM. Sometimes a situation where I'm just we'll just pick a monster and I'll do it. And then you know, 20 rounds of combat later, I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I did not understand what I was grabbing, and that is on me. Sometimes that's just how it happens. It's just how it happens. Let's see here. Oh, I like the little candle familiar thing. I think it'd be really funny if they ended up with a candle familiar. I'm gonna put that one in there. I like that idea. All right, let's see here. Let's see what else we got. 505, 505, 505. Where it be? 505. Okay, let's see. Oh, what do you got? 1d4 commoners are going to learn how to be a mage at an academy. So what you're coming up with a lot of like NPC encounters, Zarkle, and those have a place in the random tables. In a lot of places, you can see I've got NPC stuff here. But I usually use NPC encounters for the random tables. I usually use those as an attempt to give them clues about actual like side missions and stuff like that. So that's kind of the sum of the stuff that you're coming up with, which has a place. And so I want to hear those ideas, but I'm gonna save those for when I'm working on coming up with like side missions and stuff like that, because we can build those, we can flesh those types of ideas out into like a side quest and then have them encounter those in these placeholder spots that are going to come up later on. So because you've got good ideas, but they're not quite the magical events that I'm looking for here. Let's see here. Okay, got like 5 wolves. I think it's going to be an easy fight. Then we got pack tactics. Yes, that, or like if you think like, oh, a werewolf's a fun monster, and then you don't realize that your party is entirely non-magical guys that don't have any silver weaponry or anything like that. Yeah, that's the type of risk you run for sure. Magical event. All right, let's see here. So what was it? 505 was that the one? 505. Let's see here. 505 needed. This is not quite what you thought would happen. Oh wait, we already did that one. We're doing another one. Look at that. That's how you know it's a random thing, because it's not playing nice, and it gave us, out of 1,000, it gave us the same thing. And that's actually kind of how you can tell that it's random, because random doesn't give a shit if we've already done it or not. It'll just tell us an idea. Werebears fighting weretigers. Again, Zarkle, that's a really interesting idea. I don't know if I'm going to use it as one of our magical events, but it would be kind of funny to see just like two were tribes at war or something like that. That'd be a really interesting mission, actually. Like your players, in some way, shape, or form, find themselves in the middle of a little war that's happening between two villages of were creatures or something like that. It's like a Hatfields versus McCoys type of situation, and the players get roped into it in some way, shape, or form. It's actually not a bad idea. That'd be a really fun one to do in like a jungle setting. We could use that like in the forest when we get to that or something like that. That's an interesting concept. I like that idea. I'm not going to use it in the mountains, but I like that idea. Let's see, what was it? Okay, lava. The ground between the target and the caster turns to molten lava. All creatures touching. Let's see here. Where a wizard pops out of the front of the team because their dimension door went wrong. Oh yeah, I've used ideas like that before, where it's just like a wizard kind of shows up, like just like pops into existence among the party, kind of looks around and is like, this isn't the market. Uh-oh. And they're just like super confused. And it's like, you can just kind of role play yes and that one and see it's like, what do the players do about that, and like, does the mage stick around a little bit? A lot of times I'll decide whether or not the mage is capable of sticking around, or like is capable of going away, or it's like they're out of components. They used their last components to travel and now they're out. And a lot of times I'll do that based on how the players react. If it seems like they're into this and want to do something with the mage, then it's like come up with a way for them, or a reason for the mage to stick around. If they're just not really into it, just have them like pop away and have it just be a funny story that they share. I'll do stuff like that all the time. I think that's a fun idea. I don't know if I want to... Do I want to use it in here? Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a good idea. Let's do it. Magical event. A wizard suddenly appears in front of the players and is very confused, as this is not the farmer's market. Whether or not he sticks around is up to if the players are having fun trying to converse and role play with the wizard. Boom, there we go. a killer whale suddenly appears 30 feet ahead of the party. I mean, that would certainly be a random magical event. I worry that there wouldn't be much to do about it because there would just be a whale blocking the pathway. It would be like a Snorlax thing, except there's no way to play a flute and wake him up. That would be that would be something. That would be something. I mean, it would. I'm trying to think about the nature of the caverns, if it would even like fit a whale in it, because that could just turn into like a mashed pulp of flesh and stuff. Could try saving them. See, I think that's where my hesitation is, Zarkle, because I don't know if there would be a good way for them to save a whale if they're 3 days deep inside the mountains with no ocean in the region whatsoever. Whale turns into a potted plant. Yeah, that's true. They could just transfigure the creature. It's such a random thought. Where do you guys come up with this shit? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm with you, Omega. I do want to use this. I do want to use this. Use the lava stuff. What if the whale brought the water with it? There's an idea. Although, actually, Zarkle, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking like you've tapped into something there. Forget the whale. They're just going through the tunnels. They're going through the tunnels, and suddenly they start rapidly filling with water. And the players have to figure something out. Like they have to make, they have to try and, swim fast enough to get out of whatever magical thing is causing the caves to fill with water, or they have to like magically remove the water or something like that. Now there's something that we can work with. There's something that I think would be an interesting event here. I like that. I'm gonna utilize that. We'll come back to the lava. I'm gonna utilize that. Let's see here. As players are traveling, the tunnel starts rapidly filling with water. Players must quickly decide what to do. They can magically survive through the water in any way they come up with. Let's say swimming ahead. Let's say swimming ahead. I don't know. Let's do like 100 feet. Feet will get them out of the magically flooded zone. There we go. We can do it that way. We can do it like that. That's a good challenge. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one. That works. That works. And it's like simple, and it really gives them a lot of opportunities to use their imagination on how they would get out of that situation. And it's a fun one too, because I could really put the pressure on them. I could be like, you guys have to figure something out. And if they're sitting there puzzling too long, you can just kind of like, you kind of balance realism versus letting them think about a plan or something like that. But it's like, the longer their characters are like discussing, it'd be like, like the water is up to your knees. All right, it's up to your waist. It's up to your chest. You guys got to come up with something. You guys got to settle on something. You got to do something. It's up to your chins. And you can kind of keep putting on the pressure that way. So I think that's a good one. I like that one. Shambling mound that's shackled to the ground. My concern with that, with anything that would be shackled to the ground, is why is it shackled there? And since my world is one that doesn't really have a whole lot of sentient beings out in the wild, in the wilderness where the players are traveling, that doesn't really jive with the environment of the world that I'm creating. Although just in general, the idea of a chained up shambling mound would be a very unsettling event. Magical event. Okay, so now opposite of the water, let's do the lava one. I like that one. Turns into molten lava. Let's see, a magical event. So the ground underneath the players begins to break apart. Let's say it begins to break apart. Lava can be seen through the growing cracks. Players must make 2 skill checks each. Let's see here. Must make 2 skill checks each, and they can be whatever they want. They can be like trying to jump from platform to platform. It can be using magic, something like that. But let's make it 2 skill checks, so they have to really earn it. Especially since we're talking about level 9 at this point in time. They're not beginners at that point in time. 2 skill checks each to make it past this this lava area. I don't know if it needs anything else. I think we can just do that. Everyone finds a quaddle flying through the sky. That'd be really good for an outdoor one. Remember, we're working with tunnels right now, Zarkle, but that's a good idea for like an outdoors one, for sure. For sure, that'd be good for an outdoor setting. I don't know if I'd want to use it in the tunnels, just because like if something's flying by, like there would be no need for a perception check. They would see it. They'd be aware of that. Let's see here. Let's get another random one here. 248. I'm trying to kind of go quick here because I'm running out of time. We got like 20 minutes left on the writing stream, and I wanna finish off at least these magical things if we don't get to our treasure tables for the daytime travel. So I'm trying to like scooch along here at this point in time because I did what I always do, and I got distracted with all your guys' awesome ideas. Oh, here we go. Here's the golem. Who had the idea of the golem? And Heron Golem steps up to you and explains that he's ready to serve you now. Oh boy, let's see here. Magical event. Let's see here. I don't know, how would we use a golem? I like the, actually, you know what I like the idea of? Instead of like a big golem, we'll say, we've done something similar to this. A sentient boulder starts speaking to the player leading the group through the tunnels. It begs them to bring it along with them as it's quite bored of this part of the tunnel. If players agree, it will stick with them for 1d4 days until it claims that wherever they are is the perfect place to stay for a while. And so they just have to figure out, they have to decide, do they want to take this giant boulder with them or not? That's a good one. Alright, let's see. I want to take the, so for copying these up, I want to take the lava and the water ones. I think those ones are really cool and fun ones. So I'm going to take those two. I like those ideas. Bring that, and then we'll put that one right there. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's see here. Magical shop that would randomly appear that we could go to. I've done that one before. I don't know if that fits the aesthetic of the world that I'm working on. But I have done that before, and I will sometimes do magical shops that just sort of like appear and disappear within cities. I like using the random shop as something where it's more like they know that if the shop is appearing, it appears on this corner, but it's unpredictable whether it's going to be there. So it's just like players can go and check, and if they're lucky, the magic shop is there. So I've used ideas like that. I like that. Tunnel starts growing teeth and tries to eat the party. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad one. Let's see here. Magical event. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Let's see. How can we do that? Human, I'd like to buy dark vision, please. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? I don't even want to relegate that to D&D. I would love to have dark vision. That sounds awesome. Let's see here. So teeth in the tunnel. Let's see here. The tunnel ahead is. Tunnel ahead has teeth randomly scattered around the walls. Players must make let's do athletics or acrobatics checks to avoid touching the teeth. We'll do medium difficulty here. Anyone who fails is bitten by the cave and takes 1d6 damage. We'll just do that just like, cause let's see, actually no, I want this to be a bit more lingering. So it takes 1d6 damage and is poisoned until cured. We'll do it that way. Yeah, we'll do it that way. It's just like an automatic poisoning if they did it. They're level 10. They can handle it. So there we go. Okay, there we go. I like that one. I like that one, Zarkle. That's a good one. Let's see here. 952. What do we got here? 952. Going all the way to the bottom here. Well, not all the way to the bottom, but you know what the fuck I'm saying. A target crumbles to dust with a 20% chance around he will return to normal. If the dust is scattered, the target is destroyed. Ooh. Okay, this could be a really intense thing. Magical event. Let's see here. Let's see here. Players make wisdom saves. Come on, saves. Medium. Anyone who fails turns into a pile of dust. So a pile of dust. They can still see and hear, but cannot communicate. If the dust pile, and we'll do parentheses in case more than one, if the dust piles are collected, if I'm going to do R, then I should just get rid of these things and commit to plural. if the dust piles are collected, the player will return to normal in 1d4 days or by magical cure. If the dust is scattered, player, let's see, if the dust is scattered, player, that seems so intense though. Like, I kind of want to commit to the player's dead, like the character's dead. I kind of want to commit to that because I don't think they would do that. But I could totally see, like, asshole members of the party, like, just to screw with them. So here's what I'm going to do. If the dust is scattered, player takes, let's say takes 1d4 plus 2 days for particles to recollect and then transform back to normal. And they'll just have to do it alone in the tunnel where their butthole friends leave them. Like, I think that's how I want to do that one. I think that seems like a reasonable approach. It's intense, but it won't result in a permadeath. You know, I would hate for a random event to result in a permadeath of a character. They're meant to offer challenges and possible lingering effects, but I don't ever want a random event to be, like, I just don't want a random event to be the end of the story for any character or party. You know, I don't want if that's gonna happen, I at least want them to have the drama of it being while in the middle of a boss battle or something, you know, or at least working through an actual dungeon, just like randomly traveling. While there's certainly a lot of realism to that, it's like that's not fun, you know. So okay, so we gotta get one more. 522 potion. Potion lies in front of you on the ground. Oh my God, yes. Okay, magical event. Players find a random potion lying on the ground. If they drink it, DM can choose whatever effect they want by whatever means they want. That's the risk of drinking unknown liquids. Boom, right there. Just simple as that. Simple as that. I actually really like that one. Just a random potion. If someone's stupid enough to drink it, they're stupid enough to deal with the consequences of drinking it. You get what you get. And I actually really like that one, so I'm gonna keep that one. I'm gonna use that one as part of our daytime possibilities, and then let's see. The dust one's pretty intense. I actually kind of like the teeth one that we came up with. And then and then the other one was that random stone, because I didn't want to have too many just like random objects sitting around for like the same level thing. But I'm gonna take the teeth one because I just like the weird. I I like the weird style of like rubber suit horror that invokes. Like I just immediately get this mental image of like a 1980s horror movie where it's like that weird rubbery special effects that they always used for everything, for teeth, like monster teeth and stuff like that. Like I just have the vision of that, and it's like I really like that aesthetic, and so I want to have the chance, at least the possible chance, to describe that to my players. I think that sounds fun. And there we go. Those are magical events for our underground travels there, and that's excellent. That's really excellent. The only thing that we have left, and you know what, we got 10 minutes. I'm gonna quickly scream through this and just get our random treasures in here, so we can be done with these, which means that all we'll have left for our random tables is setting up the forests for our foresty part of our map up here. And then after that, we'll have our random tables done, which, as I've said, like the random tables for me, at least the way I approach making a campaign, are important because in the process of making the random tables and sort of describing what types of things players might impact, kind of builds the setting, builds the aesthetic, the setting of what the region is going to look like. So that way, once I start plotting out the details of different missions and stuff like that, I can make sure they all sort of feel cohesive and feel like part of this bigger region, right? I don't like trying to come up with dungeons and then fit a region to those dungeons, because my imagination will take me in all kinds of random places for dungeons. So if you set up the aesthetic, the types of creatures that are going to be found in this region, then it gets a lot easier to kind of maintain a consistent environment. So it's going to be fun, because once we're done with all that, then we can really start diving into our missions and creating an actual campaign here. So we're getting close. I like it. So for the random, so when players are traveling, and I always just set this on the daytime one, just because at night, I don't know if I've ever had a group of players that consistently travel at night. Instead, they tend to just sort of set up camp. And so a lot of these things are more so like things they'll encounter at camp and stuff like that. But while traveling, because this world, the wilds of this world, is like a widely abandoned place that was abandoned quite suddenly, it's pretty common for players to just kind of come across a random destroyed homestead, or like a random cart that was destroyed and there's like treasure lying around, you know. And so I always have the chance for them to come across a random treasure hoard. And also because from a game mechanic standpoint, players love treasure. They're complete and utter sluts for treasure. They love it. They love that shit. So, you know, give them what they want. Give the people what they want. So to do that, I have found a tool, this loot gen tool here, that just comes up with random treasure hoards. Makes it real easy. I simplify them and I just put them in there, because this isn't about giving them a random special magical event that's thematic to whatever mission they're doing. This is just them randomly coming across a pile of treasure, and they can be like, oh shit, yes, I needed some money for some potions. And it just kind of gives them the opportunity to have that kind of stuff. And it's actually nice too, because that frees up a little bit of responsibility for giving them wealth. So that way, if it doesn't make sense for there to be a whole lot of treasure in a dungeon, I don't have to make up a reason for it. I can let the dungeon be a bit more story thematic and not disrupt that as much. So that's one of the other reasons why I like putting just random treasure hoards that they can encounter. And so with all of these things, with the challenge rating of the treasure hoard, because they're not like killing anything to find, it's just stumbling across. Levels 1 to 5, we'll do our 0 to 4. And then 5 to 10, we'll do the 5 to 10, because then it would be 11 to 15 would be this one, and then 16 and above would be that amount. And so that way, it's just like the amount of treasure they find kind of scales with their level. So that way, I'm not accidentally giving them like 8 million gold at level 1, or just giving them a measly 20 gold at level 20, right? Because that'd be pocket change at that level. So yeah, you just do that, and you do the roll of loot, and it's great, and it'll just come up with shit for us. So here we go, simple enough. Treasure, and then I like to just do it as bullet points. It's easy to read. So we'll just say 198 GP. I don't break up the coins when I'm giving my players treasure, just because it's so much easier to just say like, here's the amount of gold that you guys have. Most players don't like sitting there being accountants while playing D&D. So if you just give them the number in gold, then that's just easier. So now another one here. Okay, so we got 220 in gold, and I usually will do very little to modify these things what they come up with, because this uses the Dungeon Master Guide. You can see right here, it'll tell you the pages of where you find it. This uses the tables and stuff that exist in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So it's like, this just does the dirty work. It takes the time, so that way I don't have to sit there and roll 7 dice to come up with a single treasure thing. It does it for me, which is awesome. So we're going to do 220 gold, and then just to simplify it, I'm not going to come up with these specific ones. Instead, I'm just going to say 7x, 725 GP, oops, cursed 7 curse word magic items, 20 GP artworks, and I just do it like that. So then it's like, if players want something specific, I can give it to them. It's easy enough to pull out the tables and know exactly where they are because it's in the Dungeon Master stuff. I can do that and randomly roll them up. Or if players don't care, if they're just like, we're just going to sell it all, I don't actually, if it's a group that doesn't care about that level of detail, they can just be like, okay, 7 times 25, we find that much gold. Just assume that next time we're in town, we'll sell all of that so they can add it to their gold and move on with life. Because different parties, different groups of players are going to want different levels of detail and realism for things. So I always try to keep myself flexible in those ways, so that way I can better provide the exact experience that that particular group of players are looking for. It's an important part of being a DM. You talk about it ahead of time, and you as DM can also express what you would like to have the game do. So that way, if you want them to be a bit more detailed, you can express that. But it's always about finding the balance between what all the different players and DMs are looking for, right? Because if you're the only one that wants that and your entire party doesn't, then that might be something where as a DM you say like, okay, all right, I'll back off on that, but I want you guys to be specific about your carry weight. So it's like, I won't give you the specific arts and stuff like that, but still keep in mind, just have a tally system for what your weight is. That your carry weight is, so that way if you're carrying all this artwork and stuff like that, and then you come across some cool armor that you'd like to keep, it's like, okay, well, you need to think about losing some of your artwork worth of wealth until you can get to a store, or something like that. Anyway, rant over, just, something to think about if you're a DM. 7x, 25 GP, artworks, works, there it is. And so now with the magical items, a lot of times I'll actually put the magical items in there, but that's just personal taste, because the magical items are actually useful. They actually have an intended use other than just being worth money, so it's easier to just have that predetermined. So we'll do potion of mind reading, potion of for level 3 superior healing. That's a treasure for them. Superior healing, but I will not question the random tables. The random tables are the random tables. For the spell scrolls, I have it because it'll do that for you. I'll just go ahead and do it, so that way it's predetermined what spell scroll they find. Creation spell scroll, and then the last one is Chime of Opening. Ooh, that's a fun one. Chime of Opening. Bada bing, bada boom. Quick and easy. Done. Done and done. Next one. Treasure. They're going to find 182 gold. Works for me. 325 piece, gold piece. Artworks. And then, what do they got here? Amulet of Proof Against Detection and Location. It's a very long, specific title. I don't feel like typing that one, so we're just gonna go ahead. Copy and paste that one. Copy and paste that one. Ah, shoot. It messed up. Hold up. I put it in the wrong place. There we go. Do that, and then keep the text only. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. Okay. Formatting's getting kind of weird in our tables, but it is what it is. Roll our loot. Let's see here. Yeah, this is our last one at this difficulty, and then we will bump it up. We'll bump up our challenge rating and get a little bit bigger hordes going on here. 153 gold, and then 1050 GP gemstones. Same as the artwork with the gemstones. I'll usually just say gemstones if it's a party that wants specific gemstones for the sake of spell casting and stuff like that. I am more than happy to oblige and come up with them. But I haven't ever played with a party that wants to do that. It's an option that's there, and I suspect that there are plenty of parties out there that love that kind of stuff. So it's like more power to you, but that's just not ever been the focus of any parties I've ever been in. So I usually don't plan for it. Okay, let's see. So now we got off our challenge rating here. So our loot things are going to get much bigger very quickly here, but that's okay. 4608 GP. It's a 1 in 20 chance of this happening anyway at any given time. And it's also a one and done. I will, once my players have encountered one of these types of things, really anything on the table, once they've encountered it, I will mark it off, and that thing immediately for future rolls on the same table will become a non-event. So it's like the more stuff they do, like the more stuff they have to deal with and stuff like that, the less likely they'll get an exact repeat of that. The exception being the monster encounters, because they're just wandering monsters. There's always plenty of them. But for the magical events and stuff like that, because those are tied to a location, and the treasure once you loot it is done, there's no reason to kind of keep repeating it. Let's see here. So 2 potion of healing, 2x potion. Oops, no, I only want 1p. Potion of healing. All right. Scooch us over here. 4 more treasures. We're running a little over time, but that's okay. I want to get this done. I want to get this done, man. That's what we set out to do. So we'll be a little late to the video gaming stream after this, but we're gonna finish this off. Damn it. We're gonna finish it. Damn it. I want it done. I want it done. Guys, hopefully you guys understand where my head's at with this. You know, once you get a goal in mind and you've like set out to do it, it's just you want to get it done. You know, it's like when you're helping your dad out, you know, with the lawn work, and it's like you're almost done, and it started raining, but it's like, damn it, we gotta get this done. We said we were gonna mulch the gardens. We gotta get this done. Rain be damned. And you're like a miserable child, but it's like you gotta get it done. You started it, you gotta get it done. That's my energy right now. That's my crazy person energy here of Elven Kind. That's a pretty intense one, actually. That's sweet. And then a Gem of Brightness. Brightness. Yeah, why not? Give them fun stuff. Give them all kinds of fun stuff. It's also kind of fun to see, for me, with these random tables, whoops, I don't want the bullet point on treasure there, to offer them the chance to kind of find these magical items. Because when I'm designing dungeons, I tend to be pretty stingy about giving them magical items, because the games that I run and the parties that I've been part of, one thing they do really like that I do is I have them make it so that they can custom make magic items, so they can do like much more customization than things that exist in the rules as written, but they have to craft them. Like they have to find the resources, the tools, if it's magical, they have to either hire someone magical or find the proper spell scroll or what have you. They have to craft it on their own. So I tend to be pretty stingy with giving them magical items in places other than these random tables, which is why it can also be kind of fun to have them have the chance to come upon these hordes that have pre-made magic items for them to explore with, because those are not common things in my worlds. Gemstones. You know what I didn't put down? Put down these are gemstones or artworks here. So those ones were going to be gemstones, stones, and then gemstones and artworks. There is that one. Okay, there we go. Sheesh. All right, and then for our magical items here, we've got a sentinel shield. Boots of striding and springing. That's fun. Boots of striding, springing, and then gloves of swimming and climbing. Okay. Swimming, climbing. Excuse me. All right. Treasure. 2 more. Only 2 more, guys. We're almost done. I'm almost done with this. We're so close. 4909 gold. 4909 gold pieces. And then, ooh, wow, that's pretty hefty right there. 100 GP gemstones. There we go. Simple, but still substantial. Treasure. Oops. My bad. Back over. No, go for crying out loud. Oh, I know exactly what it's doing. I know 100% what it's doing. It does that sometimes. does that sometimes. The OneNote, the way when you get to that last square, rather than entering going below, it'll have you go under the table, and it's one of the most irritating oversights in the tool for me, which is pretty good actually when you think about the amount of things that could go wrong. Like, that's a very minor thing, especially since there's a workaround, but it still bothers me, makes me angry. I have GP. These are artworks, and then magic items. Potion of gaseous form, I love that. Gaseous form. Potion of superior healing and potion of heroism. Oh my. Potion. Why? Peaky, stop misbehaving. Potion of superior healing, and then potion of heroism. Potion of heroism. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Hey, John, let's hear. If you ever make this available to the public. No, yeah, I definitely want to. There's two barriers. One, I want to make sure it has a substantial amount of stuff before I start sharing it, just so that way people don't look at it and be like, oh, this is dumb. Like, I want to make sure it has some substantial stuff, so I kind of want to at least wait until I'm done with the magical tables. And the other thing is, I'm really fucking busy this summer, and I have yet to make time to figure out exactly what the best route for sharing and disseminating it is. But that is definitely something that is on the list that I want to do. That's the whole point of why I'm going through this project and doing it bit by bit and painstakingly doing it all on stream, is because I really do want to provide this. I really do want to provide this because I think it's fun that, one, it's turning into sort of a group project, and two, I think that having a detailed thing like this that could sort of have the VOD companions, because I do put all the VODs on my YouTube channel for anyone who wants to see them at any point in the future. Like having that companion so people can understand the process where I get like how I'm going about making these things. I think that could be really valuable for new DMs who are new to homebrewing and want to sort of understand how a lot of these things come to be. Because a lot of people will share their homebrew made stuff, or they'll share like the process without showing what the final product is. And so that, I think for some people, like doing one or the other tends to leave a lot of questions. And so that's what the goal is here. So it will definitely happen. It will definitely happen. I've definitely heard of a lot of like the PDF publishing sites. The one of the things that I want to look into is how to share just a copy of the notebook in and of itself, mostly because I want to be able to share it like as I'm progressing and changing and making edits. I want to provide it, like I want to be able to just like update it as opposed to having to constantly share a new full PDF, like render it all as PDFs and share the full thing. I'd rather just like have something that is a bit easier to update. And the other thing too that I hesitate with PDFs is because I want this to also be something that people can take the copy of it, because I'll have the original. I'll have the original. I'm fine with that. And like the whole point of it is so that people can take it and then they can use it to modify and change to meet their specific game needs. So those are kind of the challenges that I have to look into. And one of these days, I will have time and I will do that. It's not going to be this week. In fact, I'm not even going to be able to do my full streaming schedule this week because there's stuff happening the second half of this week that will take me away from. I'll be away from home, so I won't be able to stream and stuff. But at any rate, that is definitely coming. But for now. Hey, look at that. We finished our underground stuff, so all we have left to do is the forest tables, which I'm very pleased about. I'm very pleased with that. We're making really good progress here. We're getting close. We're making progress. It's getting close. I'm loving it. I love that there are all kinds of people coming in here sharing ideas, talking about different approaches for DMing, talking about different homebrew ideas. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. And I'm floored by the amount of interest. Truthfully, when I first started doing my writing streams, I had no idea that people would be this interested. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. I have so much fun with this. So what's going to happen now is this will be the end of the writing stream. I am going to take myself a bit of a break here, and then I will be back in maybe like 10-15 minutes, maybe something like that. I'm going to let myself take a bit of a break, rest my voice for just a minute, and then I'm going to come back and we'll do my video game stream where I am currently doing a run through of Mass Effect 2 specifically. So we'll do that just so that way we can get our minds off of DMing stuff, because I find that if I spend too much time trying to write all this kind of stuff, my brain starts getting muddled, and I start creating stuff that I don't like as much. So if you want to stick around for that, I would love to have you there for that. If you don't want to, if you're really just interested in the writing stuff, I am not offended by that at all. Everyone has different interests, and I'm not going to sit here and try to act like you're a fake fan or anything like that if you like some of the stuff that I produce and not all of it. So it's completely up to you guys. But at any rate, that's what's about to happen. So for those of you who are here and watching the writing, thank you so much for joining. This has been a really fun session, and I absolutely love doing it. It's so much fun. I do put the VODs, I leave the VODs on Twitch as long as I can, and they are also available on YouTube. So you can go back and watch any other past ones if that's what you're interested in. I mentioned it at one point in time, I do have my Discord server. My goal with that is to just sort of help us build a bit of a community. So all of you guys with all of your cool like homebrew ideas that you're sharing and stuff like that, if they don't get used in here, I don't want them to just be ideas that disappear into the ether forever. So that's kind of what the Discord server is supposed to be. It's like a server for us to sort of build a community of people that can just like log on and share their ideas when it's more convenient for them. You know, if you can't watch the streams live but you have ideas you want to share, join the Discord. Join the Discord by all means. That's what it's there for. I try to log on at least once a day. I'm not super active on it, but I'm trying to be active. It's all just about what kind of time I have throughout the day. But there is that resource there if you guys are interested in it. You can find the link on my page. But that's all I got. That's all I got. So if you're sticking around, like I say, I'm going to take like 10-15 minutes and then I'll be back. I am going to end the stream, so it'll just be sitting there on a black screen, just so that way for the VODs it's easier to separate the gaming from the world writing here. But feel free to stick around. Go check something else out and come back in a little bit if you want to. My plan is to stream for like an hour and a half to 2 hours of video gaming. So I'll be on for a little while for that. So stick around if you want to. Go do other stuff if you don't want to. Either way, wherever you're going, just keep being awesome people. Keep being awesome people. Y'all are super friendly, super fun to talk to. Just keep doing that even when you're not outside of the stream. That's the only thing I ask. Try to keep being awesome people to each other outside of there. But yeah, so that's it. So that concludes our writing here. And I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna make pity whistles because I've been sitting here for 2 hours and my body's like, bro, we got shit to take care of. So I'm gonna take a quick break and I will be back, like I say, in like 10-15 minutes. So maybe I'll see some of you then. The rest of you, I'll see you next time. Can't wait to see you for the next writing stream, which will be tomorrow. I will be streaming writing tomorrow. So if that's what you're interested in, tune in same time tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Everyone else, I'll see you in a bit. All right, I'm like for real though now because I gotta go. It's ending. This stream is ending. That's just what's gonna happen.